Greetings, my wonderful pen friends. Welcome back to another video. I get asked a lot about wax seals. It's something that people who are new to the stationery hobby don't know a lot about, and there's a lot of information out there about them. So I doubt if you're into it, I doubt there's going to be much in this video that's new to you, but it's always fun to see another person's take on wax seals. So, back in the day, and I'm not an expert on this by any stretch of the imagination. My understanding is wax seals were often used to make sure that a letter or a note had not been tampered with. That's now it's mostly about decoration, and we've got some issues that we have to overcome in our modern postal systems when it comes to wax seal. Gone are the days where you tie a letter up with string, you seal it with wax, and you hand it to someone on horseback and hope that it gets to your recipient. In our modern world, our postal systems are very highly automated, a lot of machinery, and wax seals can be problematic. Now, old wax seals, and a lot of new wax seals are made with a brittle wax, so they'll break, and you can actually break the seal to get into the letter. Brittle wax does not work well in our postal system, and you can get brittle wax from various sources. But if you plan on sending wax seals through the mail, my recommendation is that you switch to a flexible wax. And I know of a few different varieties of flexible wax. One of them is from J. Urban, and this is the case that it comes in, the box that it comes in. You can buy these pretty easy. It's a supple wax, and you can see it's kind of bendy. It comes in a variety of different colors. I've got red, I've got a copper color here. I've got blue, I've got green in a box over at the side. So you can get it in lots and lots of different colors. And I've used that for a long time, and it works pretty well. I also wanted to call out, I didn't realize that they had this, but the New Orleans-based pen store Papi has some wax custom made for them in France. They gave me these sticks just because, and I said I would include them in a video. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I'm doing this video. But so they were provided free of charge. But these are like super flexible, very flexible, and I believe they can probably be put in a hot glue gun. They do seem to be the right size. So if you got a hot glue gun sitting around and you want to use that to do your wax seals like you're doing wedding invitations, what I like about these are the colors. They come in a bunch of different colors that you don't see in a lot of places, and they're very cool. So I like flexible wax seals for my letters. Now, there are a couple of different schools of thought about how and where and when you apply wax seals. I tend to put mine on the outside of the envelope. So I write my letter, I close the envelope, I seal it closed with I've got peel and stick envelope, and then I put a wax seal on it, and I do it for decoration purposes. That can be problematic because a lot of modern sorting machines will smear or rip the wax off. It's less of an issue with flexible wax, and it's less of an issue if you keep the wax seal relatively flat. And I'll get to that when we actually show you how I do the wax seals. Some people, and I've seen this a lot, will do a wax seal on the letter and then put that inside the envelope. Or they'll do an envelope in an envelope and put it on the inner envelope. So I've seen and received letters with both of those. And I got no problem with that. The only downside to that method is some people think that makes it okay to use brittle wax. And I have never, ever, ever gotten a brittle wax seal intact. What I get is I open the envelope and I've got a stained piece of paper or a stained envelope and crumbled wax all over the inside of the envelope, and it gets all over my house. So I am not a big fan of brittle wax. I don't think you should use it ever if you're going to send something through the mail. I just don't think that's the right thing to do. Not in our day. If you want to hand carry the letter to someone, great. But otherwise, no. Go with the flexible wax, and you can put it either on the outside or the inside. Just know that if you put it on the outside, it may not make it there. So let's go ahead and talk through my method. So I'm going to show you a few things here. So one of the things I have is this. I have this My dad is a project manager for a large scale construction, and he's building a building in downtown Philadelphia right now. And this is a slab of the granite that they put on the outside of the building. So I keep that here, and I use it as a heat sink, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. Then I have these. These are my seals, and I've only got a few of them right now, so I'll walk you through them. They're all little brass discs on the end with wooden handles, and so this one is a treble clef. This one is a very fancy illustrated A for my last name. This is the Armstrong coat of arms. This is one of my favorites. I had this custom made for me, Scottish clan coat of arms kind of a thing. So Invictus Maneo, by the strength of man. This is an hourglass that was given to me as a gift. And then this one is just kind of a copper platey style, flourished A. So these are my stamps. I like them a lot. I'm always looking for new, interesting, different ones, especially ones that speak to me. If anyone ever wants to get me a Kermit the Frog wax seal, I'd be over the moon about it. So what I do is I normally grab one of these little, fire starter, lighter things. And this is what I use to melt the wax. Some wax will have a wick in it, and you can just light the wick and drip it down like a candle. Some people use a lighter or a match or something like that. I like these. They work well. I suppose you could use a blowtorch. I think I saw a video where Brian Goulet used to blowtorch once or something like that. But anyway, I just heat the wax up, let it drip onto the paper, use the wax to stir it around and spread it out a little bit, and then I stamp it. Now, the reason I do the stirring is because I want the wax to be as flat as possible. I want enough wax where when I put the stamp down, it can get into the nooks and crannies of the stamp, but not so much that there are big fat edges to get caught on things in the mail system. And it's a fine line. You have to play around with it. I'm not always great. Sometimes I don't do enough. So let's play around. Before I do, one more thing that I've noticed. So some of these waxes have like a metallic thing in them, and that helps the design show up a little more. But if you're using just kind of a flat color wax, one of the things I've started doing is doing a bicolor. So I just took 2 sticks of this J. Urban supple wax and heated them up and stuck them together. So when I melt them, I get blue and copper, and it makes for a really cool effect. In fact, let me show you. So I'm just going to go ahead and start melting the wax. And you'll see that I can get some blue and I get some copper. I'm pouring the wax on the wrong part of the paper here. I just realized that. But get a little too much copper, so I'm going to switch over to blue. Actually, I'm going to move this over here. I'm making a big old mess of things. It's what happens when you turn on the video camera. I start screwing it up. Okay, so you'll see how got that great swirly pattern in there, and I just take this and swirl it around a little bit more. I try not to get it too mixed up because I like that swirl. And then let's see, let me grab this stamp. I'll do the hourglass. Just press it down and hold it for a little bit. And when I'm done, pull it up. And voila, you've got a lovely wax seal. And when you've got this swirling pattern in the wax, one of the things that I find is that the pattern stands out a lot more. It gives a lot more depth. Now, if I'm doing a lot of envelopes, what I'll do is I'll take it then and then place the stamp on this slab of granite here, and that helps cool the stamp down. One of the things you'll find is if you start doing a bunch of these, I did these on Christmas cards a couple years ago when I swirled red and green wax. And one of the things you'll find is if you do that, the brass stamp will actually start to heat up and it won't solidify the wax as quickly. And so you'll pull the stamp off and the wax will still be wet and it'll get all stretchy and gross and ugly. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this off because I made a right mess of it and just go to another one. So let me grab this. Actually, let's do teal. I'll do this kind of teal colored one. I'll just do it again. Now, one thing some people do, I don't really do this because I've done it enough where I've kind of gotten used to it, is they'll actually trace around the seal so they make sure they get a size of wax large enough to cover everything. So they know exactly how much they've got to be able to cover. So I don't always do that. Sometimes you can tell, but it's a thing sometimes people do. So I'll just go ahead and get this going. Get it melting, melting. Come on. This wax does, I will say this papier plume wax does seem to be a little bit slower to get started, but once it goes pretty quickly. So the J. Urban wax does seem to heat up a little bit more quickly. So one of the things some people do is they'll just pour the wax on until it fills in the circle. I actually like to get in there and spread it out a little bit. As I mentioned earlier, it helps to keep the wax from being too thick and getting caught in the mail system. Looks like my lighter might be on its way out. So, and this has got some nice variation in the color, but you'll see I'll just go in here and spread it around a little bit. That way I can actually use less wax and make it a little bit better, keep it from getting caught. See, we'll grab this illustrated A here and do that instead. So just press it down, hold it there for just a little bit. Make sure that my old wax stick doesn't drip, and then pull it straight up, and ta-da, you've got a lovely A. And on the granite slab it goes. So that's a little bit about how I do wax seals. Actually, that one turned out quite nicely. It feels very, feels just, very casual, but still formal and fancy. So anyway, that's how I do wax seals. I'd love to hear how you do wax seals. What do you do to make them interesting? Do you dust them with metallic powder? Do you swirl colors? What waxes do you like to use? Do you like to put them on the inside or the outside of the envelope? What tricks do you have to help it get through the mail system? Any of that kind of stuff. Leave them down in the comments below here on YouTube or over on penhabit.com. Over on penhabit.com, you can also check out the Inky Fingers notebook line, where we've got pocket and traveler size notebooks in a variety of different formats. And yeah, aside from that, we'll see you here soon on another episode of The Pen Habit. Take care, and we'll be back soon. Bye.